Hello YouTube, hope you're all keeping well out there. I've been away for quite a while, been really busy. I think it's been about 4 weeks since my last video upload. Just busy with work, my 9 to 5, and freelance work's been coming in for my evenings. And yeah, just very busy in general. Anyway, enough of that rubbish. This is for the beloved GameCube. I absolutely loved and still love the Nintendo GameCube. This was released in 2002 when I was probably about 24, 25 years old. So it came at that age range when I've mentioned in many other videos before that we were in a shared house together, me and a lot of friends, male friends, just eligible bachelors. It became a bit of a party house, mid-20s, people coming back and lots of drinking and great parties and just good fun times. Simpler times. And in said house we had all of this particular generation consoles covered. We had my mate upstairs, Mark, who had the Xbox. I owned the GameCube. My mate Matty downstairs had the PlayStation 2, and my friend in the room adjacent to me still kept hold of his N64. So we had all the generation catered for there, and yeah, it was just spoiled for games. But yeah, I was always going to jump onto Nintendo's next platform. I left the N64, which I did sell on. I got the Sega Dreamcast, and I did sell the Sega Dreamcast to get this system. I didn't have the silver one here. I was waiting for the black version at launch. I didn't want the purple indigo colour. I didn't really like the look of it. I just wanted to keep colours quite kind of neutral and clean, just to tie in with the aesthetics of my TV and TV unit back at that time. But I was always going to get this system, and at the time I remember I went to Florida with my mum and dad just prior to the release of this. So I was thinking, right, if I've got enough money left at the end of this, I'm just going to go straight into town. My friend who was in the room adjacent to me worked in Virgin, so he could get a discount. 10% I think it was, maybe a bit more. I think it was 10 though. So if I had enough money from when I come back from Florida, I was going to get this, and I did have. So I remember coming back. I don't really sleep on aeroplanes, so I came back with no sleep, literally went straight into town. It was a really nice day actually in the country when I got back weather-wise, so I managed to get into town, no sleep in, I don't know, 36 hours, something like that. I was just wired. Couldn't wait to get my console. I picked up the black GameCube with an extra controller and Rogue Squadron. I plumbed for that one. That game looked excellent. And yeah, got it back and had a whale of a time. But yeah, so here's the console. 4 ports again, similar to the N64. So again, Nintendo is still very much promoting that kind of couch co-op. Got a bit of flack for using the smaller disc sizes. Again, Nintendo doing something different again. First cartridge, and then there's another storage format that had to be more compressed when they did their port games over to this system. But as always, Nintendo really understand their hardware, and they managed to get a lot of juice squeezed out of this machine. Very powerful bit of kit for the time, just shy of the Xbox I believe, and just a little bit more powerful than the PlayStation 2. And the control pad. Now I think this is so ergonomic and comfortable in the hands. I love it. A little bit more, I understand there's a few detractors. Obviously this pad, this directional movement pad is pathetic, isn't it? It's tiny, small. These are a bit clicky now in retrospect, but I'm a huge fan of the controllers. I did have a little bit of a thing with the controllers. When I became a collector, I did own a Wavebird back in the day, and I have got one of those now. You've got a GameCube and you collect for it, you have to get one of these. And this controller was showing that Nintendo was still pushing the envelope with regards to tech. with the wireless capabilities of that thing, and it was just, for the time, fantastic, and it's still very good today. I got the spiced orange one, so I do love these controllers. The spiced orange one, I didn't go for every single controller, and this was the other one I love. I love this colour anyway in general for anything, and it's the it's kind of a, God blimey, quite dusty, like the aqua colour there. I love that turquoise colour. But yeah, really great controller. I've got the only other accessory really I think I've had a quick look through my controller drawer there with the Donkey Kong Bongos, which I have used to play Donkey Kong, and I believe you can use this on many other games, which yeah, reaps some interesting and funny viewings if you want to go on YouTube and watch some of those. But they're really cool. And I have mentioned this in a pickups video a good while ago now. I kept hold of this, and this was the Nintendo GameCube preview disc, and you would just remember popping this in my Apple Mac G4 computer and just cracking nuts, and couldn't wait to get my hands on this. It's just a little show reel of some of the games that were coming out for the system. It had you know, like some video footage of this in 3D, just showing the console off and the controllers and some of the games. Again, on a little tiny disc that's the same size as the cube format there. So glad I kept hold of that. That's a nice little curiosity piece. And what I'm going to do, as I usually do, is go through the games. And as usual, with the way I collect, I just collect the games that I owned, wanted to own, really want to play, games that I'm interested in. I'm not going for a complete set on any system. It's just the kind of games that interest me, really. I've got just over 100 games. I'm going to start in alphabetical order and work all my way through. Let's get cracking. Right then, starting at the beginning of the alphabet, or the numerals, we've got 1080 Avalanche. Not bad. It doesn't quite blow me away as the predecessor to this one did on the N64. 1080 snowboarding on that was fantastic. I had the N64 whilst I was away at university, and I really enjoyed that game. The snow physics were great, but this is still a very good snowboarding game. I do like the extreme sport games. Really good fun. Recommended. Animal Crossing. I've never really got into the Animal Crossings, not because I didn't want to, but because I know how much of a life sucker these are, and I can bear witness to that. I did own this on the Nintendo DS, and when I was living with my sister, after I came back from Australia, I had the Nintendo DS, and I took that game around hers, and yeah, she just got absolutely addicted to it. She could not put that thing down. But that's what the game's like. You're supposed to play it daily, indefinitely, forever. And yeah, it's just not a game that I've really wanted to sink my teeth into. But this is all complete. It's got the Animal Crossing themed memory card there. But I know it's got a huge following, Animal Crossing, and yeah, it doesn't really appeal. And if I was a younger lad with not so much, much more time on my hands, I would probably destroy that game. Next up is Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Great game, an isometric, top-down, Diablo-esque kind of dungeon crawling RPG, fantasy-based, great game. Didn't own this one back in the day on the Cube, but because my mate Matty downstairs had it on the PlayStation 2, I mean, he would buy games quite a lot, so a lot of the multi-plats I didn't really get. On my GameCube, I would always get the Nintendo Cube exclusives on my system. And yeah, we played that one through to completion. I think it was 2 to 4 players, was it? Did he have a multi-tap or something? To play 4-player? I can't remember. But we went through it, and it might have been us passing around the controller, just drinking loads of beer, smoking cigarettes, having a whale of a time. We saw that game through to the end. Yeah, great game, great fun, great memories. Baton Kaitos, I believe that's how it's pronounced. RPG, fantasy RPG. Haven't played it yet. It's on the ever-growing list of games to play. Always like the look of it. Quite a costly game back in the day when I was collecting, and on collecting for this system, I hit this system quite hard, quite early on when I started to collect. I was like, right, I'm really gonna just hit the cube, get the games that I want and I'm interested in. Obviously, since then I've been just chipping away a couple more. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm really happy with my collection. It's kind of done. Speaking to James, Flashback TNT, on a couple videos back, the cube prices, I didn't realise, but it makes sense, have just gone right up now. Obviously this generation of gamer, this age of gamer, is earning some cheese now, and you know, buying back their childhood as I was doing with the Super Nintendo and the Master System. So this is probably their gaming start out of gaming, their gaming peak, who knows. But yeah, that's how the collecting works, isn't it? It works in these kind of generational leaps. But the price of these games now, I'm so glad I collected this one I did. Next up is Batman Begins. Looks very similar to the Arkham games, which I really loved. Went through and played and finished all those on the PlayStation 3 and PS4. Similar kind of mechanics and fighting style and gameplay to those games. This nice and dark, nice and gothic. Really like the Batman character. Looking forward to playing it. Another Batman game, Batman Vengeance. More of the kind of animation look that you had in the 90s and the early noughties. Massive square-jawed Batman there. Yeah, again, quite well reviewed, that one. Next up is Battalion Wars, a spiritual successor to Advance Wars on the Game Boy Advance. Did play this. I played it for a couple of hours a couple of years ago. And again, this was one of those that I started tinkering with just before I moved house to where I am now, and I haven't picked it up since. But yeah, I did enjoy these, and I am really liking this kind of turn-based strategic gameplay. I've just finished on the 3DS Fire Emblem Awakening, which I really got into, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that game. I think I've put in about 40 hours into that to finish it, and the side quests and the side story missions, and really good game. But anyway, sidetrack, let's stick with the GameCube. This is one of my most recent purchases for the Cube, if not the most recent. Beach Spikers. Good fun, very arcadey, Sega, so it's got that lovely arcadey Sega charm. Played this with a wife and we got quite into it. The controls are simple, but there is a lot of depth to this game. And yeah, it's all about how you press the button to sort of keep knocking onto your partner, who then knocks it onto you to knock it over the net and score your points. I don't know what the technical terms are for this game, but yeah, good arcade fun, really good, recommended. Beyond Good and Evil. I owned this back in the day, but I didn't get on with it. Didn't really get on with it. I know it's got a huge cult following now, and probably back in 2013, I picked up a digital copy, or downloaded the digital copy because it was cheap on the PlayStation Network for the PS3. The HD version of it looked really good. I thought, right, and this is when I was starting to get into my retro again. Around the same time I started collecting, actually, 2013. And yeah, went through, beat it, really enjoyed it. Bit of a hidden gem, apparently. Billy Hatch, I haven't played it yet, but wanted to whip this one up. Looks interesting, looks good fun. Like a 3D action platformer, puzzle platformer. Blood Omen 2, haven't played it, really want to do so, but I'm going to hang on because I really want to play Soul Reaver and Blood Omen, the original, on the PlayStation 1 before I play this. Try and play things in sequence if I can. I mean, a lot of the time it doesn't really matter, but a Gothic vampire game here, Blood Rain, 3D action game, this one. Don't really know too much about it. But when I was looking at the Cube's library, I was looking at those games around your kind of sweet spot of 7.5, 8 out of 10s, and this this came up, looked really interesting. I love my sort of horror games anyway. Vampires, yeah, I'm all over that. Supposedly, you know, quite good. This is my only Australian game, which I didn't notice when I picked it up all those years ago. It's just got the different, you know, case there as well with all this. Again, this is in the very early days of my collecting, so I was like, oh, I didn't notice that. And that should have gave it away. The different certification there down the bottom, but again, it plays fine on UK PAL. Bloody Roar, 3D fighting game where you turn into beasts. There's your special ability for each character, and yeah, release lots more damage onto your foe. Good fun. Again, another sort of 7.5 out of 10 game. Bomberman Generation, really enjoy the Bomberman games, and this one's no exception. Good fun, not the best Bomberman, but still very, very good. Let's move that one slightly to the side. I'm still plowing on through the bees. Burnout 2, I remember playing the Burnout games predominantly on my friend Matty's PlayStation 2 console, and sometimes I think up on the Xbox, on my mate's Xbox. I know 2 is where things started to get much better. The first one was okay, but didn't they start bringing in the crash mode into this, and that was really being polished in this one. And I know 3 Takedown supposed to be a lot of people regard as the best, so I've got that one. I think I've got it on my PlayStation 2. Yeah, PlayStation 2. Again, with races, I've said it numerous times, I'm not really so much into the simulation games. I do like the arcade races where it's creating havoc and pick up and play, and just really good fun. Love my fighters, and another one here, SNK versus Capcom, or Capcom versus SNK 2. Really good, I enjoy it. I like these kind of splicing together of brands when done right, and that one is really good fun. This is a relatively recent purchase as well, and that's Cell Damage. It's got a cell shaded look to it, and it's basically a cell shaded version of Twisted Metal. Still haven't played it yet. That's probably going to be a theme for a lot of these games, so I haven't played it. Dead to Rights, always thought this game looked interesting. You got your dog in this as well, haven't you, that you can set onto people. A little bit like Shadow Dancer in the arcade on the Genesis and Master System. But again, I haven't really played it. Bit Max Payne-y it looks, with a doggy. Looking forward to that one. I'm still going to pick up the Retribution game, the follow-up, the sequel on the PlayStation 3. Coffee's going cold. Oh, coffee is cold. Yeah. Doesn't really seem like my sort of game. I'm not really into my sort of gangster rap. I don't mind hip hop, but I like my sort of early 90s, even 80s hip hop with great breaks, scratching, and a bit more funky. It's all down to the production for me when it comes to hip hop. Anyway. This is apparently very good, so I did pick it up. Could have got it on different platforms, but when I was collecting, if there was a multi-plat, I was going to get it on my system of choice, and that was the game. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. There's 2, isn't there? And Donkey Konga. I can't remember which one I played. I think it was Jungle Beat to test out the bongos. Really need to boot that up again. It was really good fun. Remember one of these having some okay bands, or so I've got Jamiroquai on there and bands like that. Have I made that up? I'm sure I read that. Looks like good fun, those. Boxing games. God, on modern systems, I really miss a boxing game. You know what I said about Sims with simulation games of racing? I love arcade boxing games, but I used to really like the fight nights. Why it's left this generation, I don't know. We've got Ultimate Fighting, but I would love a boxing game. I think maybe because we don't, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't Has boxing fallen a little bit out of favour? Aren't there the fighters with names of note anymore? Not sure, but yeah, it's a kind of out of vogue really. But I remember loving this one, Fight Night 2. Oh, Ricky Hatton there, bless him. Used to love watching him fight as well. Love watching boxing with Matty, my mate downstairs. He was a huge boxing fan. Love boxing games. Brilliant. Great stuff. Enter the Matrix. Very blah. I did buy it back in the day and finish it on the Cube and just sold it on. But yeah, it's not that good. It's not that good. They tried, and I know the Wachowskis brought this out and the story in this was interspliced between Reloading and Revelations, which they were both crap films. For me, the first Matrix is excellent, and that's it really. There's Path of Neo as well. I don't think that came out on the Cube. Again, I haven't really played that one, and that got worse reviews than that one, so I'm not really bothered about having it. Right, one of the best games on the system now, Eternal Darkness. Yeah, breath of fresh air for a Nintendo system. I've seen Nintendo always being tarred with it's for kids, it's a kid system brush, and the Nintendo releasing the Indigo lunchbox console Cube didn't really do anything to demystify that rumour, but fantastic game. That psychological kind of horror, leaping through time, going into different bodies. Yeah, fantastic game. Broke the fourth wall, a bit like Metal Gear did, where strange things would happen with your TV, the volume would go down. Yeah, interference, I remember snowing would come on the screen just to play with your mind and help immerse you into the game. And yeah, I remember having a great time. It's very unique, and I would love to see possibly a remake of this, or even some sort of follow-up or something within this universe again. And years ago, I'm sure I remember the developer of this, the main chap, saying they were working on the second game, but it's just nothing's come of that. It's a shame. Brilliant game. You can collect them for the system. It's definitely one of the top 10 games. Extreme G Racing. I loved those games on the N64, and I remember the cheats that we used to unlock. The fisheye cheat, where it would just be like your bike, your Tron-like bike, would just zoom off into the distance, and it created this warped fisheye effect that, yeah, it really played with our minds back then. It was really cool. Owned this one back in the day for the Cube, and enjoyed it. A bit like F-Zero, a bit like Wipeout. Again, very arcadey, not a sim, good fun, pick up and play, extremely fast, techno beat music in there as well to accompany the fast-paced action. Good game. But not as good as F-Zero GX. This is one of the best games on the system as well. Either this or the SNES version. This is the better game, isn't it? Is my favourite. But the F-Zero, the original, always held a place in my heart on the Super Nintendo. But Sega Namco, wasn't it? I think worked on this one, and they did an absolute stellar job. So fast, the courses were beautifully designed. Bit of a learning curve in this. Or a great learning curve in this. You really had to memorise those tracks and pull off using the shoulder buttons and just tickling the shoulder buttons just to get round some of those dog leg turns, the hairpin turns, the right angles. Some of the courses are absolutely bonkers. Really nauseating tracks, like you're on a roller coaster. Really good. Brilliant game. Absolutely loved it. Why Nintendo, I've said this in videos before, why Nintendo hasn't brought this franchise back, I don't know, but I'm telling you now. I remember Shigsy saying in some sort of interview, I think it was on IGN or something I read, that they didn't know what mechanic to bring in to revitalise it and give it its own kind of gimmick, but we saw that kind of gimmick with the most recent Star Fox game on the Wii U, and I don't think that actually worked. So all they need to do is bring another F-Zero out, get it nice and polished, make it run really smooth at least 60 frames per second, hopefully more, depending on what the Switch Pro can do. But I think we're going to see it on the Switch Pro. You heard it here first. I'm telling you now, it will definitely be coming out. Next, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, and this comes with the cable that plugs to the Nintendo 3DS, where you can use that as a map, or you use that as another controller. I can't remember, and you did have that functionality of another game, wasn't it? Oh, it was a Zelda game, wasn't it? Four Swords. I'm not sure what the actual Game Boy's ran system journey alongside up to 3 friends, ability to perform more powerful attack. Yeah, so maybe use it as another controller. But an interesting piece there. How to pick that one up. Freedom Fighters. I did own this back in the day, and I didn't finish it, but I do want to go back to this. I know Pete Snestastic really likes this game, as do a lot of people, and yeah, really want to give this one a chance. Guerrilla Warfare, it looks like. Joining the Resistance. Yeah, 3D action shooter. It's really good. And the last one for this pile, From Russia With Love, James Bond, Sean Connery. Yeah, they managed to get him in there. Something to do with Sean Connery. His career predated contracts or something, so they could use his likeness in games. I think that's what I read somewhere before. But yeah, Connery, smooth Sean Connery, the original Bond, arguably the best. I do like Roger Moore myself as well, but it's only because I grew up with his movies more so. I just remember being more attached to the Roger Moore films. Spy Who Loved Me, one of my favourite Bond movies, fantastic.
You ever got the feeling somebody doesn't like you?
But yeah, this one looks really, really good. Really good. It's got that 60s vibe to it as well. Got good reviews. And again, when I was collecting any multi-plat, I was always going to get this version of it. So, just going to clear the deck and get on with the games. Again, when looking through the GameCube's library, this one, I do remember seeing this one in the magazines back in the day. Liked the sound of it. I don't think it got great reviews, maybe even less than these 7 out of 10s, but I always like the look of it. Psychological science fiction game where don't you go into people's bodies, you can sort of possess different people to open gates and things like that. Sounds a bit like another game coming up later on, which I'll mention. But yeah, always thought this one looked quite fascinating, so I had to get that one. Gladius. Don't know too much about this one, apart from it's a little bit of a hidden gem. It sounds like the story-wise that it's got similar kind of beats to Russell Crowe's Gladiator, where you're wronged and you got to sort of fight your way out of the gladiator arenas to you know, get retribution, and I don't know. That's what I've heard about the story. But I think there's some RPG mechanics in this one as well, very light. But yeah, this one sounds good as well. Like that era, love ancient Rome. Another fighting game, arena fighting game, Godzilla, destroy all monsters. Playing as Godzilla, obviously, against other huge beasts in the Godzilla universe. Laying waste to buildings, no doubt killing loads of innocent people within said buildings. Yeah, lots of destruction, lots of explosions and crumbling buildings. And yeah, good fun. Really good fun to play. Very arcadey. Recommended. Not really a huge Godzilla fan. I know it's got a huge following, but it's not like I don't like Godzilla. I just never really followed it, really. Any of the films. I only remember the cartoon from the 70s and the early 80s with Godzuki. Gun. A Western game. This one sort of missed me by. Again, this is a 7 out of 10 sort of game, and I think people are really praising this. And yeah, I do like the look of this. I love the Western games. I was But yeah, didn't really, for some reason, this one just passed me by. Looking forward to giving it a go. I know a lot of people like it. Harvest Moon, It's a Wonderful Life. Again, another life sucker. Tending to your farm, raising your cattle, milking your cows, clearing out the hay, planting seeds, planting crops, harvesting the crops. Just don't have the time for it. I did watch my wife play this for a few hours a couple of years ago now. And yeah, this is her sort of game, but again, she would probably play it more if she had more time. They're a superhero game, and apparently this is a very good one. The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. 3D action game, running around causing mayhem as the Hulk, leaping over buildings, destroying buildings, picking up cars, throwing them at baddies. Looks really good and has got really good reviews. So yeah, again, another game on the endless list of games to play. Unto the Reckoning. Isn't this part of the Blood Omen Legacy of Kain universe? I don't know. It's kind of got that look and feel. Possibly not. But it's gothic, vampires, horror. Yeah, that's me. 3D beat 'em up of sorts. Shoot 'em up. Kill 'em up. Nickaruga. Played this for a good while when I first started collecting. Really wanted to give this one a bash. Heard it was very highly regarded. I've got this on the Dreamcast as well. Apparently this one's a little bit, it's perfected a little bit more, isn't it, with the controls or something. Runs really well. Yeah, good mechanic in this one where you've got the kind of the dark and the light, and you can only kill, is it the dark enemies with the light gun and vice versa. So it adds a little bit of strategy there and a little bit of a mechanic to the shooter genre. But yeah, this is supposed to be excellent, and is excellent. James Bond 007, Everything or Nothing. Owned this game way back when, played it, finished it, thought it was really good. Really good game. All the action set pieces were really good, and the driving levels were really well done as well. And yeah, really good package this. I thought this was a fantastic James Bond game. Obviously the biggie to live up to before that was GoldenEye, but that was just your first person shooter. This really did make you feel like Bond. Had a great production values. Is it Heidi Klum was in it? Yeah, really enjoyed that game. This is good fun as well. I remember picking this up for £1 somewhere. I think this might have been an old charity shop find or something. Jeremy McGrath's Motocross. Scramble bikes, dirt bikes, very arcadey, right on my street. Still haven't played this one, and this has got to be near the top of my to play on the GameCube. Killer 7, I thought the art style looked fantastic. By Grasshopper that did No More Heroes on the Wii, so it's going to have a certain style and aesthetic to it, very comic book-esque. Good camera angles, ridiculous action, over the top, silly, very Japanese. Yeah, this looks really cool. You play as different, is it 7 different assassins? Again, I don't really know too much about that. It's supposed to be violent and got reasonable reviews, I remember back in the day. Now this one's gone up in value considerably, and it was, even when I was collecting years ago, this one was, you know, your mid to higher price game. Got this one as the German version, but it's still perfectly playable and, you know, on the PAL system. Yeah, it seemed like really good fun. Riding around on your star there as a like a 3D racer. I remember it being alright. Didn't really put too much time into that one, but what I do remember I enjoyed. Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition with all the games on here. You got Zelda 1, 2, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Now, I never played Majora's Mask when it first came out. This is how I played it on this and finished it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very different take on the Zelda formula, and I know it's got more of like a cult following, isn't it? I still really want to get the 3DS version of that, and I have noticed that blimmin' version's gone up in price quite considerably. Should have picked that up a year or so ago when I had more of a chance. But yeah, nice little compilation of games on this one. Can't go wrong with Zelda, fantastic franchise. Zelda. Legend of Zelda for Swords, more of a multiplayer game, so I haven't really had a chance to play this. It's got that top-down perspective, 2D top-down perspective with a similar graphical style to my favourite Zelda, and favourite game of all time is Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Apparently it's excellent fun. It's just sadly haven't got, well, definitely at the moment with the pandemic, you know, we can't play any multiplayer of this, but I am keen to give this one a go when lockdown eases even more. I give this one a good go. Yeah. Zelda again. Twilight Princess. I didn't play the GameCube version. I came back from Australia and I bought the Wii and got the Wii version of this, so it was shaking my sword around to play this one. They just mirrored the whole world, didn't they? So Link was a right-handed fighter. So yeah, fantastic game. I really enjoyed this one. Nice leap from the 64 game and more of the darker, more realistic tone that people were crying out for on the GameCube after the huge debacle that was Wind Waker, which I thought was excellent anyway, and to me is aged far better than this one visually due to that graphical choice that Nintendo made back then. Brilliant games. This one was great. This one I'm going to play again, but when I do, I'm going to play the HD remaster on the Wii U, which I own. So, speaking of the devil, Wind Waker with a limited edition bonus disc in there. What is on the bonus disc? Oh yeah, the Master Quest version of Zelda. We'll go through and play that one. That's when they mess around with the dungeons, isn't it? But yeah, I thought this game was fantastic. One of the best games on the system. It's a bit Marmite, I suppose, the cel shaded graphics. I absolutely loved it. I thought it looked like a cartoon come to life. The animation on Link's face was fantastic. And I think that's what Shigsy and the producer of this game wanted to do. They wanted a lot of detail and emotion in his face, so when there was a secret nearby, Link's face his eyes would look down at said secret, showing the player that something was nearby. If the graphics were much more realistic, his eyes wouldn't be as large and as noticeable and wouldn't emote as fully as the cel shaded counterpart. So yeah, brilliant game this, loved it. Didn't even mind driving around or riding around in your boat too much on that one. I know that gets a little bit of flack, it's a bit tedious, but yeah, I used to, obviously back then, drinking loads, swigging away on my beer, just kicking back, sailing across the vast ocean, looking for pieces of heart and big chunks of, you know, bounties of rupees. Yeah, great fun, really good game. This one I got cheap. Apparently this is the best one in the trilogy. A bit Diablo-esque, isn't it? And a bit like Dark Alliance, where it's more of like an isometric view. Maybe not quite so fixed as that, but it's Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Yeah, apparently very, very good. I did start it with my wife many moons ago, but for some reason we just stopped, as you do. 2 games here from one of my favourite game developers from Software, Lost Kingdoms 1 and Lost Kingdoms 2. RPGs, fantasy RPGs, big games, and I think the unique mechanic in this is that you use cards like beast tarot cards to cast spells and summon beasts and demons to fight your enemies. I'm not sure if this is turn-based or if it's like an action RPG. Haven't played them. Again, on the list to play. Looking forward to it. Love me some From Software. There's those. Luigi's Mansion. Now when I bought the system at launch, it was this. Crumbs, what was the other game? Obviously Rogue Squadron, and there was another one. Monkey Ball? Super Monkey Ball, was it? I can't remember. I read into this one and I'm ashamed to admit it, as soon as I saw it was Luigi, I was like, oh. The game did look really good though. But what put the nail in the coffin for picking this game up at launch rather than Rogue Squadron was the game length in this. I read that it could be beaten like 6 to 7, 8 hours, and I was just like, really want to get my money's worth. And this is back when I bought a system at launch, so what was it? It was like £40. I wanted a game to last far more than 6 to 7 hours for £40, so I skipped this one. But this was always a niggle for me that I needed to go back and play this one, and I did. When I started collecting again, I finished this probably last year, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it. Good fun. Again, not a lengthy game, but it was nice to see Luigi get a bit of the spotlight for a change rather than his bro. Controlled so well, and graphically, and a lot of the games on the Cube still look really, really good today. And I've got this on the 3DS as well. Mario Kart Double Dash. I really liked it. I had great fun on this, going through and unlocking all the cars. And in this, obviously, the big mechanic was having 2 players on there. Then you could tap a button and one would go to the front and drive, and then the other one who would be storing the weapons would fire their weapons. So I had a little bit of strategy in that. Couldn't you punch the guys next door as they were driving by? I think I remember that. But yes, sunk a ton of hours into this one. All the Mario Karts are really good as far as I'm concerned. Some great tracks on this. I really remember liking the cruise liner, driving around on that one. That was fantastic. And don't you unlock the trophy cart that Toad drives when you win a Grand Prix? Toad would drive out with the first, second, and third positioned players on the car. And you actually unlock that car. That was the last unlockable car. I think I remember that and doing that. Yeah, really good game. It comes in this really nice golden slipcase. Great fun to be had with the Mario Kart. Love these as well. Mario Golf. Great fun. Plays really well. Brilliant. I've played it a good few times since collecting for the system. My mate Simon, he comes around. We both like our golf and tennis games. And speaking of the devil, this is really good as well. Nice and arcadey. Good pick up and play. Really fun. Really colourful. Easy to play, but there's a lot of depth in these games. Deceitful. Deceiving, even. And this game is brilliant. Mario Smash Football. Really arcadey. I like my FIFA games, I must admit. Not a huge football fan. Never really have been, but yeah, I don't really care for football anymore. Still watch World Cups. And at the moment we've got the Euros going on. So I've been watching England playing. England playing tomorrow at the time of recording this, and they just beat Germany. That match was really good. Let's see how they do. As a segue, usually fine with England. They're very hit and miss, aren't they? They can beat the best, and then in the next game when they play, a lesser team, they can just get hammered. So yeah, it's always a squeaky bum time watching England play. But let's see how they get on. Anyway, back to this game. Fantastic. Thoroughly recommended, very arcadey, really good fun, super powerful shots, silly moves. Brilliant game. The Wii version come out, but I didn't think it was as good as this one. This is the best one. I'd love to see that one come back actually on a newer system. This is a game that was slightly off the radar for me when I became a collector, but it was a 7 out of 10 game. Metal Arms glitch in the system, 3D platformer. Yeah, looks really good. Don't really know much about it. Apparently very good. This game was great. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Who did this one? Yeah, Silicon Knights before they went bust. Silicon Knights that did Eternal Darkness, didn't they? But yeah, really gave this. I loved Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. It's one of my favourite and standout games on the system. When I played that when it first came out, you haven't played anything like it. It was like playing an action espionage movie. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And they did so well with the updates to this, smoothing out the graphics, and they also added the first-person aspects to this, didn't they? Where you would, be able to switch into first-person view and take down the enemies. Yeah, really good game. Definitely recommended. One of the best games on the system as well. This game, Metroid Prime, fantastic. See, I didn't really have much experience with the Metroid games prior to this, and obviously I was reading IGN website back then, was I? Yeah, IGN was going. And looking at paperback magazines that I was buying, and people saying, quite nervous about it going to first person. And of course, Retro Studios produced this, absolutely blew everyone away, unfounded concerns. The game was fantastic, great atmosphere, really used atmosphere, very lonely sort of game to play. You felt like you were exploring this crazy alien world, going through different sections, unlocking the doors with your different beams. The graphics in this at the time were just second to none. Lovely music, very Metroid-esque music, scanning all the different beasts. I love doing all that. Finding clues, hidden rocket packs, destructible parts of the world, turning into the spider ball, and discovering new places within the environments, going back, lots of backtracking in this, but I love all that exploration side of things. Love the graphical touches in this, little graphical flourishes of like the water effect coming down the visor, and when you would fire off a bomb from your arm cannon, you just get this slight explosion and a light would reflect in the visor, and just for a few second or less you would see Samus Aran's eyes come into the visor, and it was brilliant little touches like that. And yeah, I could just gush about this game for ages. Excellent, great bosses, just a brilliant game, one of the best on the system. Nintendo obviously working on Metroid Prime 4 alongside Retro, really keeping my eyes open for that. I don't own a Switch. I'm going to see what they do with the Switch Pro, and I might jump aboard them, but we'll see. Anyway, Metroid Prime Echoes, still really good. Didn't quite enjoy it as much as this one, but yeah, really good. And there was a Dark Samus, is that right? Or the Phase On, and it would affect your suit. Dark and light powers, yeah, and you go into like a shadow world or something. Well, I can't remember, it's been so long. But yeah, another really good game in the Metroid universe. Basketball Street, don't really care for basketball games. However, this is Arcadia. I used to love playing a NBA back on the Mega Drive around my mate's house back in the day. And I love these sort of versions of basketball games. More arcadey, more fun, more pick up and play, simpler controls. Yeah, really good fun. This is supposed to be quite good. Pitfall: The Lost Expedition. And in this you can unlock the original Pitfall game by the same guy and developers, same team as the original game. Exploring platformer adventure game. Don't really know too much more about it. Apparently quite good, 7 out of 10 game. Now these two, I owned them both but never finished them. Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2. I must go back and play these because I really want to play the third one on the Wii U, but I'm going to play the first one first. And I believe the Wii versions of these games are apparently better with a Wiimote to control your Pikmin squads. We will see, but yeah, I've got to go back. For some reason I just never finished these games, but I always thought they looked really cool. I love the idea of them, and yeah, this was kind of Shigsy's last big new franchise, wasn't it? So yeah, need to go back and play those. Really cool, fun games. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, a game I owned back in the day, and then flogged because I didn't get on with it, but I think now, different headspace. This is very near the top of the GameCube games that I want to go back and play. And when I did a video on games that you started and didn't finish, and this was in there, so yeah, need to go back into that one. 2D RPG with a lovely graphical style, and I believe that's considered one of the best Paper Marios. On to another 3D platformer, Pac-Man, apparently very good. Pac-Man World 2. PN3, project number 3. I played and finished this. Didn't Capcom have an exclusive deal with Nintendo? Was it the Capcom 3, the Capcom 5? I can't remember. They produced, what was it, 3 to 5 different games exclusively for WoW. That was kind of naughty actually, because they did end up, part of that exclusive deal was Resident Evil 4, and of course they released that afterwards on PlayStation 2 and then on every other system since. But yeah, I thought this game looked good. Played it and finished it. You sort of danced around, pulling off all these different special moves, and you would upgrade and create, unlock different moves. And I remember you kind of moving 3D into the screen. It wasn't like you were on rails, but it felt a bit forced where the camera was. I think I remember that right. And I quite enjoyed it. I thought it looked stunning. The animation was fantastic. I thought the protagonist was really cool. This female lead leaping around doing, you know, sort of semi-sexy dance moves whilst firing off guns and lasers and, you know, killing the enemy. Yeah, I thought it was a good curiosity game, really. It was, again, another 7 out of 10 game, but a good one. I didn't mind it. The Prince of Persias. Played all these. Thought they were excellent. I think still the Sands of Time is my favourite one though, where it all sort of started. Brilliant 3D action, adventure, platforming, hack and slash, you know, had a lot of gameplay in there. The rewind mechanics, if you did some wall jumping, there was some very demanding action platforming in this 3D world. Beautifully designed, the controls are fantastic, but if you missed like a jump or fell to your death, you could press rewind and you would rewind a certain time frame, may I add, and then you could redo that particular 3D puzzle and try again. Really good mechanic, and yeah, I had great memories of playing that game. And then we've got Warrior Within, which was the second one, and I think Two Thrones was the third one. Is that right? But yeah, played them all back in the day and finished them. All really, really good. But again, by the third one, I think I was kind of getting a little bit tired of the formula of excellent games. Right, I'm going to clear this and then on to the last section. We're getting there, peeps. We're on to the last section of these. And I've just noticed we're on R. But I've just noticed some are out of sequence. That's my daughter coming in here. She gets to a certain height and she's pulling games off, and I think my wife puts them back in, and she doesn't put them back in alphabetical order, which is yeah, there's a kneecapping right there. Right, so on to the R section now. This character, when I first saw him, I just thought he looked really daft and didn't know I was going to get on with the games. Anyway, it's Rayman. The first Rayman game I played was on the Game Boy Advance. Beautiful, beautiful 2D pixel art, lovely animation as well. Ubisoft created a great game and character there, and all of my concerns were just unfounded. Really, really, really great platformer games. Challenging, nice challenge curve there as well, especially on some of the more recent games like Origins and Legends. Played and finished those, but God, some of those levels, yeah, they're quite tasty. Haven't played this one though. I don't think. I'm looking at Hoodlum Havoc. I think I might have played it back in the day, but didn't finish it. So this one will be booted up and completed one day. The next one's Red Faction 2. Haven't played this one, but I played the first game that came out for the PlayStation 2. So I played that on Matty's PlayStation 2. And that was one of the early games for the system. and it really did show off the technology. And the big thing with the Red Faction games is the destructible environments, and you could just blow away all parts of the environment, and the effects on that were fantastic. It was a really fresh looking game and really showed the power of this sort of generation and that system. But yeah, I haven't played this one. I have played, is it 3 on the PlayStation 3? What was it called? Red Faction Guerrilla. I can see it from here. Yeah, I played and finished that one, so that was really good. Just like the spirit of this game, of these games. This one, like the first one, is first person though. Guerrilla there is third person, over the shoulder third person shooter adventure game. But yeah, looks really good. I'm sure it will be. If it's anything like the first one. Right, on to some classics now. I'm going to start by talking about this one. Right out of sequence. The remake for Resident Evil. When I was in America, prior to coming home and getting my GameCube, I remember bugging my mum and dad, oh, I've got to just go into the internet cafe to do whatever. I just made up some excuses. But I was going onto IGN's website and tracking this game because the graphics on this looked beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, and I really love the detail and the horror aspect. And Resident Evil 2 is the game that I jumped in at on my mate's PlayStation when I was studying at university. And if I was going to play the first one, I wanted to play this remake. It looked just absolutely gorgeous, and a GameCube exclusive. The lighting was fantastic. It still had those kind of tank controls, but I didn't care. So I was just cracking nuts to get back and play this one. This came out, I think, a few months in the launch window of the Cube, but a few months after the initial launch. And yeah, I absolutely loved this. It was great fun, so atmospheric, really gory, and with that graphical fidelity and punch and the lighting effects and the atmosphere, it really did creep you out. Bloody fantastic game, love it. And I bought the HD remake on the PlayStation 3, and I've got it on PlayStation 4. Yeah, just love the game. Resident Evil Zero, I know this gets a little bit of flack, but I still really enjoyed it. I didn't really have too much issue with the inventory management, and the other thing that was criticised was being 2 players, and this was the first Resident Evil, I believe, that had 2 players that you would work in cahoots with and circumnavigate the train, wasn't it, at the start. The graphics engine was still the same as the original Resident Evil, but this was a fresh one, produced exclusively for the Cube at that time, since we've had it re-released in HD. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and whenever you dropped an item, I remember on the map back then, it would show you on the map where you left it, so you could backtrack and collect it if need be. And yeah, it demanded a little bit of housekeeping, inventory management, but I didn't really mind that. It was you, the escaped convict, wasn't it? And the female, was it Rebecca, the nurse, who then went on to be one of the characters in Resident Evil. This is a slight prequel to this. Tells a different story, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it still. Not as good as this one, but still really good fun. And then this one. This was the game, Resident Evil 4, that came out prior to me selling the console and going to Australia, travelling for a year. But what a way to leave my system behind, my beloved GameCube. This just left a beautiful taste in the mouth at the end. It is my little swan song to the Cube. Fantastic game, one of my favourite games of all time. It's probably in my top 10. I know a lot of people give it a bit of flack for, like, it's not a true Resident Evil game in the sense that it's not survival horror. I'd argue with that a little bit, but I do understand it is much more action based. But yeah, I think they really pushed the series in a different direction. It might not be to everyone's taste, but I absolutely love this game. Didn't mind the setting in, was it South America? Into that little village where you're fighting the villagers, and then it does get weirder later on, so don't think that that's all you're doing. Much more sort of cult based, and I found that much more real in some of the zombie aspects, it wasn't as far-fetched, although some parts in this clearly are. But I think they were just looking for something a bit more grounded and real, and just trying to do something a little bit different with Resident Evil 4. And yeah, brilliant game. Loved it back then, love it now. Boxing game again, Rocky. Owned this back in the day for the Cube, and yeah, really liked it. And as soon as this was announced, I just it sort of got to me here. I remembered the Master System game Rocky that I used to love playing, and you just thought Apollo Creed, Clubber Lang, and then Drago. But in this, I think you've got Tommy Gunn as well, haven't you? Was Rocky 5 out by this point? Yeah, Tommy the Machine Gun. Yeah, good boxing game. Played it fairly recently again, and it doesn't quite hold up. It just seems a bit clunky, but then probably been spoilt with the new Fight Night games on the current generation or previous generation of consoles. Now this one, I didn't know anything about. Second sight, this one completely skipped me by when the Cube originally came out. And this one's deemed, you know, again, kind of off the radar, but a diamond in the rough. And picked this up when I'm collecting again, and I've played through it, and it is fantastic. It is a really good game. It's by the guys that did, oh come on, Time Splitters. So it's got that graphical style and that character style, slightly exaggerated features. But in this, you're a guy, you kind of wake up in this scientific lab, escape, and then you start realizing something's not quite right with yourself, and you've got these telekinesis powers, these psychological powers you can use to kind of take over other people's bodies. Do you levitate? I can't remember what you do now. You can move objects with your mind, and you go through the game and you unlock more kind of abilities. But it's, yeah, a very interesting game this, and really, really good. Thoroughly recommended. Sega Soccer Slam on the Cube, another game that is just really good fun. Pick up and play. Brilliant, brilliant. Slightly different to the Mario Smash Football, or Strikers as it's called on the Wii, but still very, very good fun. Few drinks, few mates around, you know the drill. Still haven't played this one. Simpsons Hit and Run, bit of a Grand Theft Auto clone, obviously in the Simpsons universe. Looks a bit strange seeing them in 3D, but apparently very, very good. Love the Simpsons. Well, I did love the Simpsons. The first few series are just comedic gold. Obviously they've gone the way of the dodo now, I think. Skies of Cadia. I did own and play this on the Dreamcast. I didn't finish it on the Dreamcast though. Now this one's supposed to be had a little bit of a revision where the random battles aren't as frequent, and I think they've just tweaked the controls and just, I believe this is the definitive version and the definitive way to play Skies of Arcadia. So I do want to go back and play this one. I know Dave Birdsall, David Retro Games Played Badly, really loves this game. So yeah, and I love the idea of flying these airships. Love the world that was created in this on the Dreamcast. But that's when I discovered that I just didn't like random battles, and that's something that just keeps me a little bit held back. I don't mind the turn-based, it's just the random battle encounters. It just, something about it irks me. I have to get over that. Smuggler's Run, not bad, you know. For me, a 7 out of 10 sort of game. Again, when you go on little missions, driving contraband around, and as you would expect, some more illegal goods, smuggling those around with baddies after you. So you've got the terrain to master and enemies after you as well, and it's a multiplayer game. Yeah, not bad, not bad, quite good fun. The Sonic Mega Collection, 7 great games. It's got, yeah, Sonic 1, 2, 3, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which my wife is still addicted to. She loves that game and still gets me to play it. Sonic Spinball, Sonic 3D, and Sonic and Knuckles. So there's a good collection of classic games on there. I'm not a massive Sonic fan. For me, I prefer my more precise platformers like Mario. This, you just sort of rushing by too much and you're missing a lot of the design of the level. I'm just not a huge Sonic fan like that. Don't mind it, but not a huge fan. Another game, doing my research, found out that this was one in the 7 out of 10 sort of category, and this is getting a remake, isn't it? Or it's just recently had a remake. Sphinx the Cursed Mummy, 3D action platformer, looks really good. Don't know too much more about that one, but it does look good. Soul Calibur 2. Now they released this on all the platforms. They had it on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, and they had an exclusive character for each system. GameCube definitely got the best deal here because we got Link from Zelda, and he actually fits into this the Soul Calibur universe really well with his sword and shield, and he would throw bombs, and I think he had the hook shot, didn't he, and of his secondary weapons. But I've always loved the Soul Calibur games. The one on the Dreamcast is freaking fantastic. The fighting and the controls are just really, really tight. There's a lot of depth in it, a lot of skill involved. Bit of a learning curve if you want to master the game, which, and I've pumped loads of hours into this, and yeah, a fantastic game. We got the best character. It was Hihachi, wasn't it, on the PlayStation 2, and wasn't it Spawn for the Xbox? They got a bit of the dud there. Fine if you like Spawn, but yeah, really happy with this game. This is one of the best on the system as well. A great fighting game, and the GameCube wasn't really renowned for its fighters, so that probably is the best fighter on here. Well, that and maybe one more coming up. Splinter Sail. Splinter Cell should belong on the Xbox, I know that, and it does in my heart, but once I started collecting for the GameCube, I had to get the Splinter Cell. So we got the first one. I love the stealth-based games. Sneaking around in the shadows, dropping someone down with your tranquilizer gun, hiding them away, taking out cameras, yeah, gadgets, great moves, scaling ledges and sneaking up on people. I love all that stuff. Pandora Tomorrow, which is slightly better than the first one, or much better. And Chaos Theory, the third one, which is still really good as well. After that, for me, the series started going a bit downhill. Probably just got a bit stale as well. There's only a certain amount you can do before that happens. Spy Hunter, follow up to the classic arcade game, a game that was out on the 8-bit systems, wasn't it? Heard interesting things about this one. It's alright. It's alright. It's not brilliant, but a bit pick up and play, a little bit arcadey. You've got this car which is like a James Bond-esque car that has guns and turns into like a hovercraft and things like that, and a bike, a bit like the new Batmobile in the Christopher Nolan movies. It's got the bike that sort of it can transform into. Yeah, bit different, bit interesting. It's alright. Not great, but it's alright. SSX3, brilliant fun. Again, remembering the house. We played this not on the GameCube. Did I? No, I think I did own this one actually. But Matty on the PlayStation 2 had this on there, and again, it was one of those, just, you know, lots of drinkies, some cigarettes. And yeah, just really good times, getting absolutely trashed and playing video games with your mates. Joyous fun. Another cracker, Tricky. This was on the PlayStation 2 as well. Didn't own this one, I had 3 on the Cube, but this was brilliant as well. Really good fun. Great times. Now this one, Star Fox Adventures. It was going to be called a game called Dinosaur Planet, wasn't it, or something like that. But they decided attacking the Star Fox universe and characters into that setting, and I know it got a bit of flack, but I actually really enjoyed this game. It got like your 7 out of 10s, but I thought it was a bit better than that. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10 at least. Really enjoyed it. It was by Rare, gorgeous graphics, really good gameplay. But yeah, it did feel like they were attacking on the Star Fox franchise, but again, I really enjoyed it, and it was one of the first games I played on the system, so the Cube was new, it was a new experience, and it just looked absolutely stunning. Star Fox Assault, didn't own this one back in the day, but since becoming a collector, had to get this one. Played it through and finished it. It's not the best. There are moments of, you know, you get that feeling of the true Star Fox experience, but yeah, it's not just that. There was a couple of levels actually where you're running around and they don't quite work. There's Fox McCloud and you're running around, but there's a nice sort of sequence where you know you've got to run to your Starwing aircraft, and you jump in it, and then from first person or third person shooter, you're jumping into the Starwing and you're off flying again, and then you're in the fly, and there was a lovely sort of flow to that, and it, you know, got heart pumping a little bit. There was little moments of that, but it's definitely one of the weaker Star Fox games. They really need to get that game sorted out, get that franchise back on the rails, no pun intended, because it is a rail shooter. But the Wii U version of that was very disappointing. I owned this game back in the day and I got very far in it, but I don't think I finished it. I thought this was really good. Boba Fett, who doesn't like Boba Fett? He's cool as cats. Awful demise in the films, still shocking how he went. But anyway, yeah, this was really good. Going around on the rocket pack, going up to ledges. I remember having really good times with this game. Must boot this one up again. This is supposed to be good, and I did play it. Never finished it though. Jedi Outcast. So you've got your combat with your lightsaber, and you've got your force powers as well. Need to go back and play that one. I did enjoy it. I thought it was alright. Right, here we are, the game I got at launch, Rogue Squadron 2. When I saw videos of this playing on my 56k by 56k modem internet on IGN, so the quality wasn't quite there, you could tell it looked absolutely stunning, and it still looks and plays really well today. Going through the trenches and the lighting effects that Factor 5 created were brilliant. I think they created so many different special effects for this, and then pumped them into the game. They were true innovators, Factor 5. It's a shame they've gone the way of the dodo, really. But I've played their game in retrospect since becoming a collector on the N64. I played that and I thought that was good, but I'd still prefer this one. Yeah, really good. And the Battle of Hoth, I love that whole sequence anyway. The music, from my favourite Star Wars film. Excellent, really good game, very Star Warsy. You feel like you're in the X-Wing fighter and other such vehicles from the Star Wars universe. Brilliant. Then they did this one, and I think they bit off more than they can chew, because in this one they had the running around aspects and they just felt quite clunky. They looked good, but it just felt quite clunky. But in this one, you actually get this game that you can play 2-player as a little bonus, which you know is fantastic. This is a great package. If you're going to get any game, get this one. But both are really cheap, so get them both. Fantastic games. The black sheep of the Mario games. Super Mario Sunshine. I absolutely loved it. I had a great time with Mario Sunshine. Yeah, the pack was a different thing. They went in a different direction with it. A lot of people were crying out for Mario 64, and they were imagining what they could do on the GameCube, and you know, I'd argue I was there as well, really. But I was pleasantly surprised with this. It looks stunning. And in this, there were some of the levels that were, I think they took and put into Mario Galaxy, where they were more kind of retro based, and they were just floating in space, which allowed them to create these really crazy levels. And those worlds, which were through certain pipes, or they just come up sporadically in the game, I really enjoyed those. So it was great to see Galaxy after this. But yeah, I had a great time. I thought the characters in there were a bit derpy. What are they, from a Dauphini Plaza, or was it the island resort of Dauphini? Looks like elephant-y, strange creatures. Didn't mind the water pack in this. got quite addicted actually to cleaning all the gunge off everything and searching for all the stars. I completed this 100%. Did everything on this. There's some very tasty levels in this the further you go through. And yeah, great game. The Black Sheep, but I thought was really, really good. Super Monkey Ball. Good fun game. Didn't really play much of it. Very arcadey. And I've heard that some of the later levels get really, really tricky, but I haven't really played it that much. In the party house, as I was saying, this game was king. Super Smash Brothers. I never played the original on the N64. I heard about this series, but this one was really being touted, and they packed so much game into this onto the disc. You know, you had lots of characters there. They started getting other characters in from different franchises and really built the roster up. Loads of great levels, great design, really good mechanics. And this and Soul Calibur 2 are the two recommended fighting games. Completely different. You know, you got your one-on-one, and this is more of a team-based pseudo 2D, 3D, 2.5D fighter with different platforms. And in this, the stages are very much a character as well. But living with house full of lads, all getting lashed, and this was just it's just good times. Really, really good times. Controller flying around, we unlocked loads of stages. We all got addicted to unlocking all the characters, Jigglypuff, and yeah, my first sort of introduction to Pikachu from Pokemon. I didn't really know or understand Pokemon. I felt like I'd grown out of that by then, but Pikachu, he was one of my favourite characters and he was fantastic. Really, really good game. Brawl on the Wii just wasn't as good as this. This is, my heart's always going to be with this game. I've got Smash on the Wii U, and I know it's come out for the Switch. And what I've heard, that sounds like the best game ever, best version ever. So, but I haven't played that one. My heart is always with this one. Loved it. I haven't played any of the Tales games. I've got lots of them now since becoming a collector. Tales of Symphonia. Supposed to be a good game, not one of the best I've heard in the Tales series, but an RPG. I think it's turn-based, more tactical with the battles. Yeah, really looking forward to playing that one. Not sure where to start with the Tales games actually. I've got a few on PlayStation 3, and I've got a lot of them, including a couple of remasters on the PlayStation 4. I guess I'll probably start there. Time Splitters, Future Perfect I haven't finished, but I did play and finish Time Splitters 2, which, yeah, apparently both really good games. I will get around to doing this one, but I've played and finished this one since becoming a collector and owning my GameCube again. Brilliant game, still plays really well, good fun, and I know a lot of people are looking to see another return to that franchise, and isn't there a rumour that it might be coming out? Don't know. Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Legend. Isn't this a remake of the first one, or a reimagining? I've got this one on the HD remasters on the PlayStation 3 as well. Looks really good. I do like the Tomb Raiders. I have very good memories of the originals on the PlayStation 1. Real awkward, chunky, clunky, tank-like controls, but I used to love them. New games, loved the adventure aspect of it, going through all the temples and exploring, that whimsy and fantasy that reminded me of Indiana Jones, and love Indiana Jones as a franchise. Really want to play that one. Want to play all the Tomb Raiders eventually and finish them all. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. This is one we had. I didn't own this one, but again, my mate on the PlayStation 2, I would allow him to part with his money and pick up some of the games that saved me money picking them up on my system, so I could concentrate on the Nintendo exclusives. Again, great times with beers flowing, cigarettes flying around. Good times with friends, not caring the world. unlocking different things, customizing your character, laughs, frolics, good times, great days, great days. This is supposed to be a good superhero game. Ultimate Spider-Man, very comic book graphical style. Yeah, not played it. Again, on the list of ever expanding list of games to play. Looks really, really good. A game I've discovered since becoming a collector. This one's slipped me by, and apparently it's got a little bit of a following. Vex, another 3D action platformer. You sort of use your claws in this that you can upgrade and scale the environment. Last chunk of games now, getting there. Oh, good, my backside's killing me. This is one of my top games on the system, and when this came out, this was a breath of fresh air. Beautiful Joe. I've got the second one, which is still excellent, but the first one's my favourite. It's where it all started. Kind of don't you get sucked into a cinema world, and you can use bullet time kind of power-ups. I've played and finished both of these, fantastic. And the power-ups will use forward time, you can slow time. I can't remember the other abilities that you get in this, but it was just so fresh, the graphical style, and it was fantastic. I remember it had like a pseudo 2.5D left to right scrolling action beat 'em up vibe to it, and I remember a friend coming over from Australia and seeing this, and he just absolutely fell in love with it. We had a house party at the time, loads of people around, everyone dancing and having a great time downstairs, and we would sneak upstairs to my room and let's fancy a bit of Joe, yeah, let's play that game, Clay. Just had a whale of a time with it. Great game, thoroughly recommended. Wouldn't mind seeing a return of this character. It's sad, isn't it? Some of these games just get left in time, but I'm so glad I own it. Definitely pick up this game if you're collecting for the system. Beautiful Joe. I haven't really played this one. I've played a few WarioWare games over the time. Not so much this one. Party games, lots of little mini games. Supposed to be quite good fun. I remember seeing this one in a charity shop though, getting that for like £1, so that one had to come home with me. Now this one looks really good. Oh, Wario again. Wario World. It's like a 3D platformer. I'm not sure what the angle is or the mechanic is with this, but I've seen video for it, and it looks very visual, gorgeous looking game. And yeah, Wario's a interesting character because he's such a bastard. So yeah, just really looking forward to playing that one. Goes back. Wave Race Blue Storm, good, but again, in my heart, Wave Race on the N64 is where it's at. Doesn't quite live up to that, but again, Nintendo, I would love to see a return to this series. In this again, you've got fantastic water effects. That was the big allure in the N64 original. But yeah, I'd love to see the comeback of this series. What are Nintendo doing? They love money, don't they? Bring this and F-Zero out again. And they should bring out Earthbound. That game would sell big time, obviously, good. This was a multi-plat game, first-person shooter with a graphical cel-shaded style. 13. Played this briefly back in the day. I remember borrowing it off my then boss's husband to play, and I really liked what I saw and played. It was good fun. Again, another sort of 7 out of 10 game. We'll go back and play and finish this one. Another Extreme G game. Haven't played this one. I'm not sure what they've done. It might just well be more the same. Maybe they've added some sort of cornball story that no one gives two damns about. But we will see. And these games, X-Men Legends 1 and 2. Sort of 3D brawlers. In a way like Diablo, you know, sort of constantly going up against a barrage of enemies, upgrading your players, unlocking more of the superheroes, and yeah, really good fun. Pick up and play, quite arcadey, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Arcade fun. So that's it, people. Hope you like the collection. As I said at the beginning, I absolutely loved and still love the GameCube. It was such a good system. And that generation as a whole, the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, you had 3 really good consoles, and they all brought something, good to the table, and it was a great generation to be a gamer, and you were just sport for choice. There's a ton to collect if you're a collector now. Any one of those systems are great. My loyalty always lies with the GameCube, but I still had great times and experiences on the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. They're both in my heart. And I think with this generation, they really got to grips with the 3D. The PlayStation 1 and the N64, they just jumped into that kind of field and they were finding their feet. But by the time this generation of console come out, developers really understood what was achievable, learned a lot from the previous generation, and there were some fantastic games that came out for the system. So that's it, people. Please comment below, let me know what you think to the collection, what do you think to the GameCube, what do you think to any of this generation. I think it's a fantastic generation, as I've just said. Everyone take care out there, stay safe, and I'll see you again.